all time.
निखिल
हाँ तो ऑल टाइम
कर दिया, करो स्टार्ट।
अभी नहीं हुआ सर।
नहीं हुआ, वही तो मैं कह रहा हूँ, तब से नहीं हुआ।
अभी नहीं हुआ।
और हाँ, सबको म्यूट कर तो स्टार्ट कर दो। Okay, I welcome everyone. Today, is the rescheduled meeting of yesterday's deliberation, yesterday's discussion on Google Meet, Google Classroom, and how to schedule classes. And
we can't hear Nikhil. I guess he has also been muted.
वो अनम्यूट कर लो अपने आप को।
अब ठीक है?
हाँ ठीक।
अच्छा, sorry यार, मैं काफी को. So I welcome everyone on this rescheduled meeting. We had a wonderful discussion yesterday. Viraj has demonstrated about how to send assignment, how to give assignment, and how to schedule classes. And there were many things he has talked about, but due to some technical issue, we have to reschedule our meeting. So I would first ask Viraj to give a recap of yesterday's discussion, and then I think one of the questions that I would request him to take up is that some of the participants were asking about how to take attendance in Google Meet or Google Classroom. So that thing needs to be addressed, and then also the rest of the things that he wants to take up with. So very welcome all of you. I suppose that this participation will increase as we proceed further. So over to Viraj. So Viraj, now I think
yeah, thank you, Nikhilji, and thanks to the organizers once again and participants for giving me another chance. It was my loss yesterday that it got disconnected, the whole thing, and it was completely unexpected. Even now I couldn't really understand why and how it happened, because otherwise there's no problem with my system, neither prior to yesterday's session nor afterwards. But again, I guess it's a grim reminder, yet another grim reminder of the fact that technology, despite its assistive potentials, cannot be completely relied on, and it is actually lethal, particularly to virtualize or mechanize exchange of knowledge. And it has to be on technology has to be used only as a supplement, not as a substitute. And even when it is used as a supplement, it has to be accompanied by the kind of infrastructure that it requires, as well as adequate sensitization of the entire sector about people with different needs and how they interact online. So there are, of course, ways available for people with all sorts of requirements, right? But of course, what is required is the institutional support, and then the sensitization of the rest of the sector. So it's us versus us, right? So it's we, and also we as teachers. And of course, otherwise what happens is, as I said yesterday, that the same kind of inaccessible pedagogy that has been continuing in actual teaching will only creep over, we will only creep into the online mode. And the very thing, technology or e-learning, that is supposed to extend us physically to a certain extent, would actually become, it has already become, in fact, the tool of exclusion. So these are the things, of course, that I talked about yesterday, something that it's something that we need to keep on debating and discussing again and again. And therefore, we thought that because there is this lack of adequate sensitization on the part of the institution, we need to have a kind of a demonstration, which should be a combination of a kind of a walkthrough, a kind of a how-to thing at one level, but at the same time, a kind of intervention into this continuing apathy towards people with different needs, whether it's actual teaching or online teaching. So it's therefore we decided to start with talking about Google tools to begin with from screen reader users' perspective. So this is the objective of this demonstration. And of course, then we intend to reach to both the screen reader users as well as other users, the rest of us, right? Especially teachers, because it's only when they are familiar with screen reading and other technological means through which people with different needs interact, we are in a position actually to support, guide our students with different needs. So of course, it's something that has to be institutionally done overall. So yesterday we did a demo, like, and I did a demonstration of Google Classroom, which is a kind of a supplementary tool to Google Meet, where we can kind of simulate a classroom environment and upload materials, create post and post assignment. So my purpose yesterday was to demonstrate it both from the participants, the teachers end or the organizers end, and the participants end. So I more or less completed the demonstration of Google Classroom from the teachers end. Only thing that is required is to see how we can add people, and then of course we can move to the students end. So let me just open the class that we just built so that we can take a recap.
Viraj also addressed the attendance thing also, huh? That was raised.
That comes later because that.
Video settings, drop down button.
Yeah, so I hope the volume of my system is not too loud or too low. So please confirm.
New tab Google Chrome. New tab Google Chrome Viraj DSC address. Address and search bar edit as auto.
I open my as I said, it's all from the browser. It's not by downloading any application when it comes to Windows. So it's classroom.
Google.com. Classroom.google.com selected. Classroom. Blank. Classes.
And as I said yesterday, when we interact with web pages using screen reader, what happens is that all the elements of a web page gets virtualized in such a way that each item, that all elements are kind of vertically laid down from top to bottom. So regardless of how it is organized visually, when a screen reader user interact with a web page, she basically moves from top to bottom and listens to and interacts with each and every item. And then there are navigation,
Navigator has left the meeting alert.
There are navigation keys which we can use to jump from, let's say, heading to heading, or links to links, or landmark to landmark. So this is where accessible design comes in. So if the web page is not really formatted in such a way that the screen reader recognizes all these divisions, then it becomes a problem for those who are using
Navigator has joined the meeting alert.
Screen reader. So this is something that, of course, we all need to understand. So for instance, if we are guiding a person using a screen reader, and if we ask her, let's say, to click that plus button at the top right of the screen, then it won't really work. So we need to actually see what it is actually called, how it is actually announced, how it is actually labeled from the point of view of a screen reader, and guide her accordingly. So this is something that, of course, we need to understand. So as I said, the way in this case is to go to the top by pressing Control plus Home.
Navigation landmark button, main menu.
And then navigate heading wise. So this is the best way to take an overview of the window, the web page in this case. So the first heading, as I said, H.
Google Graphic Classroom heading level 1.
This is the main heading, under which if I do down arrow, I get to
Menu button, collapsed submenu, create or join a class.
the option to create or join the class, which I explained. In fact, I created a class right from here. And if I want to join a class,
Join class 1 of 2.
Join class and
Create class 2 of 2.
option. In join
Join class 1 of 2.
I'll have to enter the code that I have received from the organizer and
Create class Vijendra Massageria.
create class. I can go ahead and create it the way I did yesterday.
Navigation button, collapsed Google app.
So I just jump to the next heading to cut it short the way I did yesterday.
List with 4 items, British Romantic Poetry,
This is
visited
the-
link class options.
This is the paper this is the class that I created as a demonstration. And if I go on pressing the H key as a heading navigation key, I can further hear other classes that I have on this portal.
N-ons, DCEIV visited link class up, do Thursday heading level 2. SECBA Prox M3 visited link class up, N-ons, P7B visited link class options,
So
head,
as
no
I
next heading.
navigate using the letter H, heading wise, I can hear the list of classes that I have. Plus, if there is a
Ananya Disgupta,
assignment, if there is a task that is
Nandini
due,
Dutta has left the
I
meeting.
can hear that as well. So this is the overview of the page. Now
Out of list.
let me go to the class. So in any of these headings, we can press enter, and that brings us the class, that specific class for us.
Google Graphic. List with 4 items, British Romantic.
So the second heading is the class that we created. So I press enter.
BlackBerry BB. Course stream, main landmark, British Romantic Poetry.
So again, go to top.
Navigate.
And the first heading,
British Romantic Poetry, visited link heading. Visited link stream.
under which, as I told you, there are 3 tabs, and we can select one of them: stream,
Visited link classwork.
classwork,
Link people.
people. So stream is
Visited link stream. Select.
used to basically broadcast certain announcement, and we can attach something, a link,
Sanjita Saxena.
drive file, or a file from our computer with that announcement, something that I demonstrated yesterday. The second option is
Visited link classwork.
classwork, which is specifically for uploading materials
Vijendra
and
Massageria has left the meeting.
creating, posting some kind of a task, either in form of an assignment, expecting some kind of a detailed research or long answers from the participants, or some short answer question, or even quizzes with multiple options, multiple choice options. And then the third option is
Link people.
people. So this is what we use to add or invite participants. Let me jump to the next heading.
British Romantic Poetry heading level 1.
And under this, if I press down arrow from this heading, I can hear the code of the class.
Class code. NKQJL55.
So this is what I can simply share with the students. So this is the first way. This is one way to invite and add participants, by simply sharing this code through any means, through email or through other means, through texting, right? And using this code, and going into that join or create button that I have just demonstrated, under the first heading, they can join the class.
Button display. Complementary landmark upcoming heading level 2.
So then the next heading, this tells me whether I have any, or my participants have any upcoming work or not. So this requires that I set a deadline to my assignment.
No work due soon.
So although I demonstrated creating an assignment yesterday, I did not set any deadline, and therefore it says no work due soon.
Main landmark assignment, Poetry and Revolution heading level 2.
This is the assignment that we created. So as I press H further, I'm landed on so I can simply press enter here and review what I have done.
Material, secondary readings heading level 2.
So this is the secondary reading title material that I uploaded yesterday.
Announcement, welcome to this class. Do check the heading
This is
level.
the first announcement broadcast that I typed.
No next heading.
This is all for in this class, this demonstration class that I demonstrated, that I did yesterday.
Viraj Kafel created OG20 announcement assignment Poetry and Viraj Kafel posted a new assignment Poetry and Revolution link assignment Poetry head Viraj Kafel post menu button collapsed submenu assignment options.
And under each heading, there is an option submenu, which I can access by pressing down arrow, which I can use to, if I want to edit, or if I want to delete or make some changes, organize or reorganize these, I can do that.
Assignment.
So let me just give an overview of the assignment field, which I created by pressing enter on this assignment heading.
Assignment
Just to
details.
recap
Blank. Poetry and
what we did yesterday. And again, we can navigate
Navigate.
heading by heading.
British Romantic Poetry visited link. No next heading.
Okay, so heading does not work here. So we
Link
have to go
visited
down.
button on blank. Maximum point value combo box collapsed has autocomplete editable 20 points. List ungraded. Menu button collapsed submenu assignment / question settings. Table with 2 rows and 2 columns students. Checkbox checked.
Yes,
Student.
and what I can do here is now use the checkbox navigation by pressing S, which will directly land me to the list of students, and it will tell me whether the students have simply been invited, or they have accepted the invitation and it has been assigned to them, or whether they have turned in the assignment.
Selected all students
So
checkbox.
I have the all student checkbox, which I can select.
No next checkbox.
And since there are no students right now, so I'll also get the list of students who have been assigned the task and the students who have turned in, and also the students who have been graded. So this is basically the assignment portion.
Poetry and navigation. No next heading. Button main menu. British Romantic Poet.
And if by any chance I need to come back, the way is to go to the top.
Button main menu.
Where I have this, which is visually shown, I guess, as a drawer, which it says
Head button main menu.
main menu. And if I go in, I get
Classes 1 of 9.
the option to go to the home page,
Calendar
as
2.
well as the option, as I down arrow here, the option to go to the specific
The review 3 of 9.
class.
British and on. British Rom. Navigation landmark main menu button. British Romantic Poetry.
Okay, so now I guess this is fine. So one way to add, okay, so I would like
Button
to do
main
one more
menu.
thing here.
Classes 1 of 9. Classes. Google graphic list with 4 items. British Romantic Poetry. Mainland. Assignment material announcement.
So I
Welcome.
would just like to demonstrate how we can reorganize it, and I would like to have this third post, which was actually my first post, if you recall yesterday, to the top. And the way to do is to find, I'm not going into it, but without going into it, without pressing enter on this heading, I do a down arrow.
Zero K-fold created
By
off
syntax.
menu button collapsed submenu announcement
Here,
options.
this option submenu, I find the option
Move to
to
top 1 of 4.
move it to top. So what all I have, move to top,
Edit 2 of 4.
edit,
Delete 3 of 4.
read,
Copy link 4 of 4.
So these are the options. Copy link.
Delete copy link 4 of 4.
Copy link, which I can share.
Move to top
So
1
move
of
to
4.
top is what I want. And
Moving post to top. Main landmark announcement options menu button collapsed.
okay, so I guess this is more or less the participant, the teacher's part is complete, and now we can.
Post move to
So, but before that, of course, I have to add people. So one way is to share the code. The second way is to find the people tab, as I told you, under the
navigation visited link classwork.
first,
Link people.
second heading.
British no previous
Yeah,
heading.
first heading
British
only.
romantic.
Once the
Navigation land.
once the class is open, it's the first heading.
British
under which
romantic.
we find
Visit link people.
the people tab, which I select by pressing enter or spacebar.
Blank people in British romantic poetry.
And now if I go heading wise again, I first find
Main landmark students heading level 2. No next teachers heading level 2.
the option to invite teachers, list of teachers who are already there, and then the option to invite them.
Button invite teachers. Viraj Kafel.
So I'm the only one here
Blank.
as of now.
Heading level 2 students.
And then the next heading, which is
Samir Rawat has left.
for the students to add
Samir Rawat has joined.
the students. So I down arrow again,
Button invite students.
and this is where I press space.
Dialog. Type a name or email edit type.
Again, in a typical way in which the screen reader works, I am landed on the form field. So when one is on the form field, then the screen reader is not virtualized. Then it's a text box on which you can write something. And again, when you submit or cancel, when you interact and dismiss the form field, again it's virtualized. So basically, you are while interacting with the web page using a screen reader, it's either virtual mode or forms mode. So there are different names, there are different terms used by in different screen reading solutions. So mainly it's the virtualized form or the text input form box, which may also be called a form field. So I'm landed on
Type a name or email edit.
where I can type name or email. So I'm typing, let's say I have to type 2. So generally, of course, we have to invite more than one participants. So I type the first email, virajkafle@gmail.com, and I can simply press a space bar and it will automatize it, whether it wants a comma or semicolon. So I just press space bar.
Type a name or email, edit blank.
And then I can type another email ID, vkafle@gmail.com.
Type a name or email, edit blank. Cancel button. Invite button.
And then I tab twice and I locate the invite button and press it.
Unavailable. Inviting. 2 students invited. Content info.
Alerts me that 2 students have been invited. So now I switch to the other profile so that I can give you the overview of the whole thing from the student's end.
Manage your Google account button. Sync is on button. Addresses and more button. Sync managed Vawani Want Viraj button. New tab Google Chrome Viraj. Address and search bar edit as autocomplete CTRL plus L blank.
And we'll see what the mail says.
Blank. Document. Banner landmark. Mail visited link. Mail. No next checkbox. Google Apps button. Find dialog. New tab Google Chrome. Find it. OK pressed. New tab Google Chrome. Google Apps button. Address and search bar edit.
Gmail.
Mail.com select.
For screen reader usage, it's convenient to have the web, the browser to start with the address bar only instead of assigning any page.
Inbox 2. Varachka.
That's the most convenient way.
Main lamp. Important. Unread. Sejal Tawari. No. Important. Unread. Viraj Kafle. Class invitation. British Romantic Poetry. 6:06 p.m.
Open this.
Shift K button. Select input. Toggle side panel. Main landmark list with 1.
Then I read.
6:0 checkbox not button. Menu but to me. Menu button. Graphic classroom. Hello.
So any logo or any visual image is announced as graphic, and then the text written in it. So there is a classroom logo or something which it announces as
graphic classroom.
Graphic, and there has to be a text. So if the image does not carry any alternative text, then it only says graphic, and then a screen reader user cannot really make sense of what the picture is about. So for accessibility, to ensure accessibility, the graphics or the images have to be labeled with the appropriate text.
Hello. Viraj Kafle. Link viraj.kafle@dsc.do.act.in. Invited. Link British Link viraj.kafle@dsc.do.act.in. Invited you to the class.
To the class.
Link British Romantic Poetry. Viraj Kafle. British Romantic. Link join.
And then you have the link to join. So by simply clicking the link, the student, the participant can enter the class.
Untitled Google Chrome Viraj. Classroom Google Chrome Viraj. Classroom button collapsed Google Apps button collapsed Google account Viraj Kafle. Varachkafle@mail.com. Heading level 1 join class. You've been invited to join British Romantic Poetry. You're signed in as Viraj Kafle. Varachkafle@mail.com. Link switch account button join.
So it of course asks the confirmation. It also allows me to switch my account if I want, and then there is join button. So generally when a web page opens and the screen reader is on and you don't do anything, it starts reading from top to bottom. It reads everything. Or if the screen reader is a bit more like automatized, then it recognizes the main field of the web page and start reading from there. So if you don't want that, you have to press something, a control keys, and then of course you have to navigate it the way you want.
Button join.
So I need join button. So since it's a button, so buttons can be navigated by letter B. Headings, as I said, can be navigated using letter H. Checkboxes can be navigated using letter X, and edit fields can be navigated using the letter E. So all these basically commands work in that virtual mode.
Link switch button join. Classroom Google Chrome Viraj. Navigation landmark button collapsed Google.
Yes.
Button main menu.
So I'm inside it, and now from now on it's more or less the same thing. It will again be a recap of the whole thing, but I'm browsing it as a student. So I'm at the top, the first heading.
British Romantic Poetry visited link heading level 1.
Class, under which
visited link stream selected.
The option to stream.
Link classwork. Link people.
the same thing. Next heading.
British Romantic Poetry heading level 1. Button collapsed expand about section.
So if I have entered, since I have skipped these things to cut it short.
Complimentary landmark.
So next heading.
British complimentary landmark upcoming heading level 2.
So this again upcoming if there is something due.
Woohoo, no work due soon.
No work due soon.
Main landmark announcement. Welcome to this
The
class.
first post, which actually was my first post, and then it went down, and again I reorganized it so it appears as the first post.
Assignment poetry announcement. Welcome to this class. Do check the heading level 2.
So it's simply reading out to me the first line. Let me see if I can read it in its entirety.
Viraj Kafel created OG 23. Edited 6. Menu button collapsed submenu announcement options. Welcome to this class. Do check the attached readings. Add class comment. Edit required.
Right, and then after reading it, I have the option to add a class comment if I want to say something
Sangeeta
about
Saxena
it,
has left the meeting alert.
which again is a edit box.
Out of edit. Add class comment. Edit required
I
multi-line.
activate by pressing enter. I write something if I want, and then I tab again.
Assignment poetry and revolution. Landmark. Add class
Tab
comment.
does not work. I have to turn the virtual the forms mode off in this case. So in the screen reader that I'm using, the command is insert plus space, which turns the virtual the forms field edit mode off.
Out of edit button unavailable post.
And there is this post button. It says unavailable because I have not written anything. So I guess visually it's grayed or dimmed. Next heading, which is the outline that I posted.
Assignment poetry and revolution heading level 2.
Second one is assignment. So I can again go in and check what is there. And then
Material secondary readings heading level 2.
the outline that I posted. So let me just see the assignment part from the student's perspective.
Assignment poetry and revolution heading level.
I just press enter here.
Blank. Assignment details poetry and revolution. No next heading.
I'm not allowed
Navigate British
cross
romantic
heading, but
poetry.
then I'm not allowed heading navigation. So either I can, there are buttons, so I can press the letter B to quickly navigate to where I want to be.
Google Apps, Google account, Viraj
All
Kafel,
these
Viraj.
usual Google options, and then
Main landmark assignment options menu button collapsed submenu. Post button unavailable. Complementary landmark unsubmit button. Main assignment options menu button Viraj Kafel.
so from here
Menu
I
button
down arrow now.
Viraj Kafel. OG 23, 20 points. Link attachment Word selections 1 ops page of
So this
revolution.
is, if you recall, even with the assignment we can attach readings.
Class comments link attachment
What it
Word
is announcing
selections
as
1
a link. If I click this link, I can read it.
class comments. Add class out of edit button unavailable post complimentary landmark your work. Turned in. Link attachment text literary theory assignments dot button unsubmit.
So I already turned in something, it seems. I don't know when I did that. So let me
Link
just
attached button link attachment button unsubmit.
submit it. Or let me just, okay. So the point is that after this, you should get the option to attach something. So in the same way, the teacher attaches any file from one's computer or from the Google Drive, right? The student can also, it would be a submenu again, a submenu button. So once you press space there, you get the option to upload it from Drive or File or YouTube, which you can access using down arrow. And you also get additional options here. You also get the option to directly open Google Docs or Google Sheets or Google Slides, and then create what you want to create just here on the fly. And then you get the option to submit.
Link it button unsubmit.
Unsubmit is actually submit, right? And this is how basically you submit the assignment. And again, from the teacher's end, again, the same thing can be, it will be as an attachment, which she can enter, and again, more or less either in a form of a Google Docs or the inbuilt, document reader that Google or PDF reader that Google works with. It opens, and again, you have the option to download it as well. So this is more or less what I have to say about Classroom. So it basically gives you the space to share, organize your things, your readings to your participants, and simulate a classroom-like environment. Whereas Meet offers the platform for interaction. So in Meet, of course, Meet is pretty crucial because you can't teach and learn without conversing with each other. But the limitation of Meet is that the conversation can take place in a given schedule, and since it's not an actual conversation but a virtual conversation, so if there is network failure or for any reason you cannot participate, so Google Classroom is there for, like, once you join the class, you can interact with the posts in the classroom at your leisure. So this is what Google Classroom offers as a supplement to Meet. Now coming to Meet, yesterday there were questions and there were also demonstrations after I left. So Sanchit and Nikhilji did an excellent more or less overview. So what I'll do is that I want to do an overview of Meet, right? And for all the participants here, that YouTube link should be made available of yesterday's presentation. So I want to repeat the overview. What I'll do is that I'll touch upon certain things that were raised yesterday, right? So the first thing, of course, is about adding and inviting participants for a Meet. So there are more than one ways to do
Navigation.
And the first way is to do it from the classroom itself.
Class invitation. British Romantic. Class invitation. British Romantic Poetry. Varachkafolak. Mail.com. Mail Google. People in British Romantic Poetry.
Okay, so since we are already on the classroom,
Navigation land.
show how it can be done, and of course it can be done only when you are logged in using an institutional account.
Classes 1 of 9. Classes. Navigation landmark main menu.
Back to the first screen of the classroom, the first
Button main.
and then I again navigate heading wise.
Google Graphic Classroom.
So I would be going to the second heading.
List with 4 items. British Romantic Poetry visited link. Navigation. No previous heading. Button main menu. Classes 1 of 9. Navigation landmark main menu button. Button main Google Graphic menu button collapsed submenu creator join button collapsed Google Apps. List with 4 items. British Romantic heading level 2 menu button collapsed submenu class options.
Okay, so I need to go inside the class, of course, not the first page.
Navigation.
So inside the class.
Button main Google Graphic Classroom menu button collapsed submenu creator join a class.
So this is the main, so second heading. Basically.
List with 4 items. British Romantic Poetry heading level 2 menu button visited link 1 student. Icons deep heading left navigation landmark Google Graphic Class list with 4 items. British Romantic Poetry main landmark navigation British Romantic Poet visited link classwork. British class code.
So first thing under the second heading is the class code.
NKQJ.
Then I go further down.
Button display. Meet link.
So this is Meet link. This is where we can generate the link for Meet. And this works only when the teacher has the institutional account. And this works best only when students also have institutional account. So in case the teacher has it, but students don't have it, then it really won't work the way it should work. So there will have to be manual intervention.
Link generate Meet link.
So I click on
DR remove up to DR remove up to
Meet link, which is a link. I press enter.
Add Meet to your class dialog with Meet video meetings. You can connect with students for distance learning. You can manage Meet in your class settings. Generate Meet link visible to students.
So I can choose whether I make it visible to students or not. If I download it, it's a check. If I like down arrow here.
Visible to students. Checkbox unavailable, not checked. Visible to students.
The checkbox, which I can check, is grayed out right now, either because there are no students, or it recognizes that the only student that I have is not a institutional. It does not have a institutional account.
Visited link. Learn more. Button got it. Dialog add Meet to your class. Meet link. Link button collapsed. Expand about set. No next. No previous checkbox. British Romantic class end button. This Meet link. Link generate Meet link. Add Meet to your class. Learn more. Visit. Got it button. Blank. Generate Meet button collapsed. Button select. But link generate Meet link.
So it's not working anyway, even at my end somehow. So this is one way. So you need to explore. Maybe we need to go into the class settings and do it. So that's how it would work, I guess. But the way the option is right there on the home screen, but then it's not working. The class screen, but it's not working. Second way is to simply schedule a new meeting from Google Meet. So Sanchit made an excellent overview, did an excellent overview. Only thing that I would like to add is that when you use the institutional account, there is a slight variation in the way you get the option to schedule the new meeting, right? Instead of getting the option, the new meeting button, you only get the button for basically one button for both scheduling a new meeting as well as joining a meeting. And if you want to join a meeting, you have a code, you enter that code on the box, edit box. And if you simply want to start your own meeting, you can simply leave it blank and then click on join button. So this is how you enter into a Meet portal, and you get a link which you can copy and circulate amongst your participants through any means. So this link becomes it can be used for 3 months, if I'm not wrong. It can be used for a long time, right? So once you generate a link either by Google Classroom or by Google Meet itself, then it can be circulated amongst your participants and they can just use it for 3 months. So there was one question yesterday, whether Google Meet allows us to end the class the way we do it in Zoom. So students join. If we are late, students are already there, and even after we leave, participants can still be there. So Google does not really allow, it does not have that feature, but this is how this is how it is actually beneficial, right? Because you are not never ending the meeting, right? It works for 3 months. Okay, so and the third way of scheduling and inviting student participants is through Google Calendar. So why calendar? If you can anyway generate a link and it works for as long as 3 months. So there are a few benefits. The first benefit is that the calendar is, of course, it's on PC. You open it on, again, like Drive and Meet and Classroom. You basically open calendar.google.com on your address bar, and then you are on the calendar. So basically what happens is that the calendar app is synced with your devices. So the calendar that you have on your Android device is actually Google Calendar. And even if you are on iOS platform, and if your iOS platform is synced with that particular Google account, then it is also the iOS native calendar also is synced with Google Calendar. So that is one benefit, I believe, that you get all those reminders prior to 10 minutes and all that when you schedule it via calendar. The second, I guess, point why we should use calendar, even though we have other options, is that we can make complex schedules like recurring meetings, or we can even customize it if we have classes twice or thrice. But most importantly, I guess, and yes, students can indicate whether they are attending the meeting or not. So from the
Sync has joined the meeting alert.
the email that they get, the calendar invite, they can click yes or no or maybe. But of course, that indication is by no means the attendance, right? So it's only tentative. So of course, even if the student has not said yes, even if the participant has not said yes, she can attend the class. She would attend the class, and the other way around as well. Even if she has said yes, right, she may not join it. So it's not attendance anyway. But the third one is, I guess, most important, that if you schedule it via calendar, you can differentiate between your intended participants and other participants. So there may be a possibility that participants whom you did not invite, right, also want to join, right, which is not a problem, of course, right? So this insider outsider binary is a myth. We all understand and appreciate that, right? So but the point is that this is how we can differentiate, because if the participants are invited using the calendar process, so they can join the meeting without any permission, whereas if someone who is not invited via calendar, the organizer has to allow her. So this is how we can differentiate. But of course, there are all sorts of things. So there may be, the student may use a different identity than where she has got the invite. So then also it comes up to the same issue. But anyway, the point is that this is I believe where calendar comes in. Otherwise, you can schedule Google Meet from any other method, right? Simply start a Google Meet, share the link through any means, and then it's there for you for 3 months. Then there were a few more questions. There was a question yesterday that what does Google Meet mean by the term guest? So the term guest is simply used to imply the participants. So there is one organizer, and the participants are basically termed as guests. So I don't think there is any other connotations involved with the word guest. And yes, if you are using institutional account and your participants are not using institutional account, then there is an extra step that you have to take. Okay, so this is what the significance, or the reason why calendar is often used instead of the other more instant ways of inviting and adding participants. Finally, there were questions about attendance. Now, there are third-party extensions which I didn't find very consistent. So one third-party extension which I could make it work is called Meet Attendance. So the thing is that there are many with the same name or similar name, Meet Attendance, Google Meet Attendance, and all that. So most of them are not really accessible. There is one called simply Meet Attendance, which is workable, but even then it's not really consistent. So that is not something that I would really advise. The best way that I have found, if you are using an institutional account, is that you can start recording at the point where you want to take attendance, right? And when the recording starts, so it takes some time to start. So when the recording starts, not just our audio and video, but even chat messages can also be recorded. So the chat messages are saved as a text file. So then after that, we can simply ask the students to type their name and roll number or whatever details that we want, and then that gets saved in our Google Drive folder. Just remember that the recording gets saved in the same Google Drive account with which the Meet or the classroom is integrated. And one colleague asked that he shared that he could make the Meet attendance work, but the only thing that he could not understand was that to locate the Excel sheet where the attendance record are stored. So if you are able to kind of make it work, so the place to look is again your Google Drive folder. So this is where you find the Excel file with the name Meet Attendance .meet attendance followed by the date and time of the file. So I guess this is all I have to say. I guess I did listen to the YouTube video yesterday after I left, and these were the questions, I guess, that were raised. So now if there are, of course, there should be further questions and things to discuss. So this is where I would like to end my presentation.
Thank you very much, Viraj. I think that was a wonderful, I would say, demonstration or narration and explanation, whatever. But I think you try to cover both perspective from a visually challenged person, and also that how a visually abled or the screen reader abled person, the person who is not who doesn't require screen reader can be sensitive while guiding a person with visual disability. And these are very important things, because whenever we interact with a sighted person, and our only challenge that the way we are browsing and the way the other person wants us to browse are entirely different. So it's very important that if a teacher is not visually disabled, that he or she should understand and how to guide and support a visually challenged student. And similar may be the case the other way. When the teacher is visually challenged, then he or she should understand that if the way he browses another person, so how he can explain the other person to browse as well as to navigate. And now it is open for the participants. Ask any question or raise any concern. So whoever wants to ask a question may raise his or her hand, and he or she will be unmuted.
Nikhil, I am Rohit.
Raised hand alert.
Yeah, Rohit. You can directly ask the question.
Yeah. See, mine is not a question. Thank you so much, Viraj, for your presentation. Regarding attendance, maybe the extension that you are talking about, almost all the attendance extensions, as you mentioned, begin with Meet Attendance or something like that. But the one that I have been using for the last 1 week or so is more or less consistent, and it is also called Meet Attendance. But it doesn't save the attendance file in the Google Drive. It automatically downloads the attendance to the download location wherever in our PC. and it gives us two options: CSV and HTML. Kanna, please be quiet. So I think that is that extension actually works. The only time that it doesn't work is when we share the screen. When you are sharing the screen and you are sharing it using Chrome, then it doesn't work. So
Right.
if you are using,
Peter Sink has
if
left
you
the
can
meeting
use
alert.
another extension, it works. But
British
of course, all this works only on
meeting
computer,
controls.
laptop,
Meeting controls
Windows.
window.
Okay, so thank you for sharing. So,
Thank
is there
you.
any way
Sir,
through which we can
excuse me.
identify it apart
Hello.
from the name?
See, I will check and I will let you know, because it is,
Yeah, because
right
there
now
were
again,
like concerns yesterday. There were many people who were asking this question. So, if you could
I will
share
share it
some
with
other
you
any ways of
immediately after this.
creator or something, then we can circulate it
Yeah,
to
yeah,
participants.
I will immediately after this meeting. I will share it with you. I will share the link of the like extension with you.
What you can do, Rohit, you can share it with us at either at the sambhavna.group at gmail.com, so that it could be circulated, you know, the list or
Yeah, sure.
Sir, excuse me. Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
yeah, we are
Yeah.
hearing.
Sir, this is Uma from Pondicherry. See, I have also used it, that meet.google, that extension. I have been trying to look into it. It has been saved as CSV file in my system, but the contents in it are not at all very much clear. And one more problem which I identified in it is that, see, while we are in the class, while we are in the class in the Google Meet, it is not allowing me to look into the other options. That pop-up window is appearing on the screen, and I'm unable to navigate within the screen. What is the solution for that?
Yeah, I'll address the second point, because this attendance point is a thorny area. I mean, these are all third-party extensions, and I don't think I'm in a position to even, there are things with different same names, so we don't know what we are talking about. The second question, you can navigate. So exactly, I mean, what is a pop-up? So there should be some option to
No. Pop-up is with regard to this extension only. This meet.google extension, that pop-up is appearing on the screen. I'm unable to navigate because of this pop-up.
Yeah, so better please install that add-on and
Okay.
find some other way. If the recording is enabled, is available to you, as I explained, use that option.
No, the Viraj, like
Only
the
the
extension that I
one
am
that is creating the
talking.
problem.
Sir,
Yes,
Virat sir, I have one more doubt. With regard to
yes.
calendar, see, when if you are using institution mail ID, when I access the link, I mean, when I tried to create link with the help of calendar, there are so many accessibility issue. But if I'm able to do it with my personal account, with my personal Gmail account, it was really easy. Why? What is the reason behind it? I
So,
tried a
so
lot.
the best way to use calendar is to use keyboard shortcuts,
Okay,
right?
sir.
So
Okay.
the moment you are on the page, you turn your virtual cursor off, right? So it's
Hmm.
insert plus space in NVDA and in JAWS also. I just forgot. I'm not using JAWS for quite some time, right? And C is the one that you want. So the moment you press C, I think it should also work for non-screen reader users. So C is where that takes you directly to the event creation page, right? So C should land you on the first form field to enter title. And as you move on, as you keep on tabbing, you come across all those options, all those fields where you enter description and date, and you customize the recurrence, right? And once you are done, once you don't want to explore further, you press Control plus S. So it becomes a challenge otherwise to locate the save button. So
Again,
press C,
control plus. Come again, sir. Please come again. Control plus.
the save command, Control plus S.
Okay.
So remember C to start creating the event. Remember Control plus S to save your event, and then remember J and K to navigate through the date. J takes you to next date, and K takes you to the or whatever is the other way around. So J and K is to navigate between your dates, and C is to start scheduling, and tab around. And once you are done, so there are so many options which you don't want to explore. So once you let's say invite guest, and then you are done, and then you can simply press Control S. If you are using an institutional account, first, of course, after pressing Control S, and if you have invited guests, then it will ask you to confirm whether you want to save, send them, right? Which you you confirm. And if you are using institutional accounts and your participants are not using institutional account, then there is another confirmation box you need to interact. So it asks you whether, it tells you that your guests are not using institutional account, and you have to choose whether you want to continue editing or send anyway. To, of course, click on send anyway, and then you are done.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you.
Hello, sir. This is Mohit from AMU.
Yeah, hi Mohib. I did hear your questions yesterday, and I guess I addressed some of
Okay,
them.
yeah, I have another question. I have a question relating to whiteboard in Google Meet. For example, I'm taking classes and I want to write something just to show the students, for example, the complex spelling of legal terminology. So how to write, how to show them this is the correct spelling of the particular term which I am
Not
just
really used that
pronouncing.
feature at all. So I can talk about only thing that I have used in my classroom. So why this whiteboard feature is something that I have not just used. So if any
So
other
any other
yeah.
alternatives, sir? For example, I would open a MS Word file, then simply I would write in MS Word file, and they will be able to see there.
Yeah, share the screen. So there is this option called present. It's labeled as present by
That
the student.
I'm already presenting with the PPT. So how can I open another window? That's the
So
question.
whichever window when you alt tab across windows, I guess whichever window you open, your
Then I'll
participant.
have to share full screen kind of thing.
Yeah, so there are different options which you need to experiment with. So whichever window or screen you want to show, you alt tab to that screen, and then your participant should be able to see what you have,
Sorry to interrupt, sir. With regard to Mohit's question, there is one more practical issue is also happening. That if we start typing with MS Word, what happens is some students are asking us, permit them to join. We are unable to view that screen.
Yes.
The
So
focus should be
this
on that
is a
GV.
challenge. So therefore, use as much as possible. Use calendar, and of course, most of your participants will be already there. They don't need to accept, ask for your permission. Otherwise, then if there is no solution. You have to be there. So this is something that I have faced, while organizing classes and also meetings, that people were asking permissions and I was not allowing them. So this happened because I had minimized my Google Meet screen and working on the something else, right, as a part of my thing only, noting something down. So this is something that I think there is no, you have to be there on the screen. As long as you know that there may be possibility of people ask permission, you need to be there.
Simran,
Viraj, could you please explain how the Google Calendar thing, like you said, if you schedule a meeting using Google Calendar, there is no need for us to admit the students. They can automatically get into the class. Could you please explain? I have scheduled classes on Google Calendar and shared the link with the students, but yet I have to admit them every time
I
they.
guess Simi raised hand and Pratap
Yeah, yeah.
called her name. So let's hear her question. I'll talk about this as well.
There are two hands, I think, which were raised. One was by Simin and some other person also. I just forgot.
Yeah. Hi. No question. I just wanted to ask Viraj. I found this presentation very useful, very helpful. So I was wondering if we can have something similar for students too. I am taking my classes sometimes on Google Meet for one batch, for the other batch on Microsoft Teams, and we are just doing a basic meeting thing. And the students are also finding it difficult to use the features and stuff. So can we have a talk for students
Sure.
sometime?
We intended this session for students as well in the first place, and definitely we can have something for students if there are specific students who have certain questions, so we can have something. So I'm not familiar with Teams, right? So I'm familiar with Meet only. So anything that I can share with any batch of students about Meet or Classroom, I'd be happy to do that.
All right. I'll try to coordinate and fix a meeting. Thank you so much.
Talking about calendar thing, so basically you need to invite your participants through email. So through the edit box, invite edit box, where in the calendar, where you can type emails. So in the same way as I demonstrated how to invite student participants in Google Classroom, similarly, as you tap through the calendar fields, you find an edit box where you can type name or email of your, as it calls, guests, right? So it's only when you invite them through calendar, not through other means, that this permission thing will go away. So I guess as I understand, you scheduled the meeting on the calendar, but you invited them, your participants, through some other means, right? So only when you invite the participant through email, through their emails, right from the calendar, and only when they join it from the email that they have received. So basically, it has to be the same email on which you have sent the invite. So when you basically invite participants through some other means, what often happens is that they would join it from a different email ID. So their identity changes. No? So then it considers the Meet considers that her as an outsider or an unintended participant. So the point is to invite as much as possible from the calendar. Of course, it won't work fully, because unless students also have the same kind of a platform that we have, so it's only halfway done, at least in my college. So these things won't really work as intended unless it's completely mainstreamed in that way.
Sir, Viraj, sir.
Hi, Viraj. This is Sachin.
Yeah.
Just wanted to ask, appreciate that, this has been of great help to me at least. Then 2-3 general comments. One, Microsoft Teams, I'm not even sure whether the university is okay with Microsoft Teams, because I remember seeing a mail. We are talking specifically about Delhi University. There are people from other university as well, but in the Delhi University ecosystem, what we got to read officially is confirmation about Google Teams. So I haven't seen any updates about Google Meet. I haven't seen any update about Microsoft Teams, whether it is the legitimate one. That is one point. Second point, the guy from AMU who talked about writing and letting the students know the spelling of a term. I thought, we shouldn't completely, of course, if it is seamlessly happening, he wouldn't be even raising this question. But we can always spell it. Like, you may think that, this is a cheesy, kind of thing. But I still insist that certain things are, done in the old manner, so that the students also don't feel completely taken away by this whole technical thing. So that is just a casual rejoinder that maybe if they are worried about, if you are worried about spelling a word or something, we should do it the old way. Why should we try to present it? But if it is an equation or something, of course you need the whiteboard thing. I haven't used it, but I was just responding to that. Then one more thing. The whole thing about inviting through official ID and calendar and all, how far is it advisable? Because at one level, when I was discussing this matter with some friends, like in Delhi University only, they said, we will all subvert the system. I'm being open about it. We'll all subvert the system by not going, to Google Meet through our official ID, official email ID. We are sharing many things. We are sharing copyrighted material and readings and all with our students. So they said, maybe it is better not to go through official ID because there is surveillance. So I'm just worried about those aspects as well. I'm not saying that by using personal email ID, I am any less culpable of what I will be accused of if I share copyrighted material without any kind of, permission. But the point is, should we, go for this official ID wala thing? Many of the students are yet to receive any kind of communication from the university regarding this. So just general concerns, and thank you once again for having this session. Thank you.
Yes, so the second point that you made, definitely, I mean, it depends, of course, on the scenario. So Mohib may have his own scenario, but definitely the very point that we are using orality, so we should make best use of that when we are conversing with students. And yes, of course, I mean, I'm not sure. So these are things that I'm experimenting with and learning about. right? So since the concerns raised has been about how to schedule and how to the basic ones, so in from that point of view, using it but even if you are using your personal ID, the fact remains that when you are doing it via calendar, you can kind of that's one benefit that otherwise the point that I was making, that otherwise you can do away with calendar invite, when you have that link which works for 3 months. Right. The only point that I was making basically was that this is
so
one.
it works for 3
benefit.
months, Viraj.
Yeah,
I'm
so
not
the instant link works for 3 months.
Okay.
You don't really need calendar unless you want to really differentiate between your intended and unintended participants.
Yeah. Sharing about practices, I'm using the same link without use. Of course, initially I scheduled it on calendar, but then I thought even if it is tedious, it's better to send the link the same link over and over again. Maybe I was not aware of the time limitation. You are saying it is for 3 months, right?
Yeah. So basically, the meeting never ends, right? When if you leave the meeting, participants can be there.
Okay.
Right? It never begins and it never ends.
Wow, like we are actually dealing with digital philosophy and things like that. Yeah. Thank you.
Anybody else? I think Viraj, we have that much questions. शायद और कोई है नहीं, है ना? It seems.
Okay. Let Pratap confirm.
कोई नहीं है अभी. एक किसी ने बीच में सचिन के बीच में क्वेश्चन करने, पता नहीं, मेरे ख्याल से
सचिन ने ट्रैम्पल कर दिया है. चलो कोई बात नहीं.
Any questions? Let's verbally ask.
Yeah, ask anybody.
If there is any question, please raise your hand.
Hand raise कर दो. Hand raise कर दो.
नहीं, सबको अनम्यूट किया हुआ है.
Okay, so all are unmuted. Just ask.
All are unmuted now. You can simply unmute yourself and say.
Sir, excuse me. So, I have a question. This is not something related to technology, but something related to this government circulars. Is it the right that circular is about VIs only? Shall I ask that question here?
Yeah, it's okay. We can
Circular, okay. Any government circular?
Yes, sir. I have a question regarding government circulars for visually challenged teachers. So, is it the right platform to ask that question here?
Yes.
Yeah, if
you can ask it.
Okay, sir. Is there any updated circular for exempting the VI faculties from attending the regular college works? I mean, I'm talking about attending the physical workplaces, not about work from home. I'm ready to do from work from home, but not attending the regular class. Physical college schedule. Is there any such updated circular? I have seen the circular for May 19th. After that, I'm unable to get any such circular.
You want to see an updated for what? Like, is there any time period mentioned? Because that circular is still applicable, I suppose. Like, and
so we can claim exemption.
there are guidelines.
Yes, sir. Tell me.
Which says that that institution is not going to force anybody to come physically in this pandemic, and there are cases coming from different places, like Dehradun there was a case, and there are other cases. In my knowledge, that is the only circular, 19th May wala, which you had seen.
Okay, that circular can be used.
But in case if the institution is forcing you or anybody, that can be brought to our knowledge, or since we also it's an advocacy group, Sambhavna, you can very well draw to our attention, and the email I am giving it to you, and you may also circulate. It's sambhavana.group@gmail.com. Okay. sambhavana.group@gmail.com.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Okay, so shall we wind it up now?
Yes.
Yes, then if
Okay. So
Thank you so
I
much
think
for
it is
organizing
a
this.
marathon demonstration yesterday and today. Thank you, Viraj, for this wonderful presentation that you gave both the days. Yesterday was merely a failure of technology that can happen anytime, but there was no failure of spirit, in my view. So I think this is already like recorded in our YouTube. So anybody who has not been able to join us today may watch it later or listen it later in our YouTube channel. And thank you, Pratap, also that he is already there helping us in arranging technicalities and technically helping us. So, and all the participants. Today we have many new participants, and many of them, or maybe I would say most of them, are our friends. But it's good to have them in a altogether a new way, like through a different way. So that adds up to our participants also. But their views are very, very important because those views are important from a different perspective, which Viraj also tried to address. So thank you very much, all of you. And with this, we conclude our session today. And very soon, if required, we may come up with another session and if required, on Google Meet or maybe some other some other platform. Uh, and I'm not sure about whether university has given any direction on Microsoft Teams, but if it does, then we'll have to, look at it and see what can we do, like how it could be made, how could we find the accessible tools in it. So that's something we are also thinking of, but right now I think even I'm not aware about its usage. So we may find some expert next time and have the demonstration. Thank you very much. Yeah,
Thank you.
once. Yeah.
सर पहले लाइव